This is our first podcast of the year, although a bit more of a video podcast now. I'm here with Kim.
Adrian?
Shall we get started?
I think we should play the intro first.
Let's play the intro. So you're heading to Barcelona for testing.
I am.
What are you looking forward to?
A 21-hour flight, but once I get there, I think testing's always interesting because you get all new liveries on the car, and I think that's exciting. You get drivers in new outfits, and I've already seen some glimpses of Kimi Räikkönen in his dark suit. I've seen Pierre and Daniel Kvyat in their light-coloured suit. There's a couple of things that go on at pre-season testing, and one is the launch of, I'm pretty sure I know it's Haas are launching at 8 a.m. on the Wednesday, so that's great because no one's actually seen their car in general public, so there'll be a huge media throng around that. And you'll have Roman and you'll have Kevin at that particular launch. There's two teams for the first time with their cars at the track, and then that's at 8 a.m. I'm not sure what time the second one is, but it will be before 9 a.m., which is when the track opens, and we go from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, when I'm photographing at a race, I'll get an hour and a half in a race, or I'll get an hour and a half in a practice session. That's a reasonably long time to shoot. But to be able to shoot for effectively 8 hours means that we can try all angles. We can get so many shots of drivers in the paddock. We can get some beautiful shots in Barcelona late in the day, because remember, this finishes at 6 and the sun's getting low in the sky at 6 o'clock because we're still tail end of winter in Spain, and you get some lovely shots of golden light, and once again in the morning too we get some golden light. So they're different shots than we would ever get at a race.
So it's kind of testing for the drivers and the teams, but also for you photographers.
Yeah, although they don't care about us, obviously.
No.
But yeah, it is a great opportunity. Of course, we've got Nicholas Latifi. Now, I've got no shots of Nicholas, really, maybe 4 shots of him over the last year or so it's a great opportunity to get more of him. Esteban Ocon's coming back in, so we've got new shots of Esteban, a year older than when he was last in the car. Well, a year and a bit older, actually. And he'll have his trainer back with him. I looked him up. I think it's Dan. We'll be back with Esteban. But the other thing I want to get shots of is Max Verstappen's new trainer, because Jake, remember Big Jake, hulking man he was and well-liked in the paddock, he's no longer in F1. Personal reasons have taken him away. So we will have a new trainer, Bradley Scanes, British gentleman, a physio. It's his first time in Formula One. So that's going to be something exciting, a new face that you will see a lot this year. Obviously, he's with Max, and we'll get a fair amount of exposure.
Now, Canon have released the new 1DX Mark III.
Have they?
Yes. Will you be upgrading?
Funnily enough, I have one here.
Look at this.
I know,
That's the lens, but...
Right, this is the camera, and to show you that, it looks exactly like the Mark II, which looks exactly like the Mark I. But I'm going to give you an example here of the shutter speed. You ready?
All right.
Now, this camera will shoot 1,000 shots in RAW, so these are big files, 1,000 shots before it fills up the buffer. Now, I would never hold my finger on the shutter 1,000 times in a row. You just wouldn't do it. So there should never be an excuse for missing a shot. It's got better autofocus. But you're probably wondering, you and this person watching at home, this is a lens. Now, it actually looks like a gun barrel. And I don't think I'd ever aim it or take a photo of a policeman in the US with this on. But it's the most remarkable lens from Laowa. It's a 24mm. Effectively allows me to get so close, and in fact I took a shot of Adrian's eye earlier, and have a look at this. In fact, to take it, this is where I can't even see how close that is, but that's about where it has to be.
It's a great image to look into.
It has to be 2 centimetres from his eye. It's just the most marvellous piece of kit. Now, it's not something I'd use often, but I think I'll take it to every race, and I'll look for 1 or 2 shots.
So what does it mean? What kind of images will you be getting?
Okay, it's a wide angle, so it's not a zoom lens, it's a wide angle. It might be I stick it in to a driver's shoe. If they've got it off, I stick it into the shoe, and you can see what the inside of a driver's boot or shoe looks like. It's actually got lights in the end of the lens. Oh, okay. I can stick it into water if I want.
Oh, okay.
Up to here is waterproof.
That is an interesting, very interesting lens.
And I think it will give me some of the most amazing shots that nobody gets. And obviously you can put it right in the Armco gap. You don't stick it through because that's dangerous, but you'd have it right on the edge. And suddenly you get this low-angle shot. And if the cars are reasonably close, and there's a couple of spots throughout the year where the cars do get very close to the fence, this is going to give me some amazing shots. So I'm quite excited about using it. And at testing, I hope to get some of the drivers' eyes, cajole them into coming over and, I guess, standing still for 30 seconds while I position it.
So the 1D body itself, what features does that have that's upgraded from the Mark II?
Autofocus is phenomenal, they say. Now, I've only got it 2 hours ago, so I haven't even had a chance to test the autofocus, but they say you can just put it on someone's head and then follow them around, and it will just follow the head and the eyes. Now, for us, that's invaluable, because normally when we shoot, we have to move this button on the back here, and it's a matter of, as they get closer, move the focus dot up, and look, it's doable, and we've done it for, well, I don't know, I've only had these two cameras for about 6 years, so the last 6 years I've had no problem doing it, but this will make it so much easier. Plus, the images are sharper, the autofocus, yes, we've just mentioned that, and the fact that it shoots at 16 frames a second, although if you do it in live view mode, you'll get 20 frames a second. That's nearly video quality. It's 24 frames for video. So this will be excited. I'll be excited to use it.
Yeah, with such a long lens, you might want to be careful about turning around too fast with people around. Yeah. So with that said, how busy is testing with spectators and people around?
Pre-season testing is busier than post-season testing, because there are no spectators at post-season testing, because all of the gear's hanging around, and it's not very safe because there's forklifts going backwards and forwards. But I did notice online the other day that tickets can be got for testing, and you can pay, I think it's a little €23, gets you a grandstand seat. But for €111, you can actually spend the whole day in the paddock.
Okay.
Now, I don't think you get any hospitality for that, and I know that Red Bull does offer hospitality options, and maybe some other teams. But for €111, you're in the paddock, and I know those tickets are sold out. So if you're watching this now thinking I'll go online, forget it, they're sold out.
How do you feel about the Chinese GP being postponed?
No, I'm not unhappy at all. No. I didn't much like the race. It was close, though, for us, even though close is 10 hours. That's reasonably close for me, but I didn't much like the grey skies, the lack of great photos, the lack of atmosphere. So I'm not at all unhappy it's cancelled. I'm disappointed for the fans who've gone and booked tickets there, because, and also for the area, because I'm sure they need that revenue, and the China government would want that buzz that a Grand Prix brings, but that's just some bad luck that we have to wear.
Well, is it being postponed or is it being cancelled entirely?
It says it's postponed, but I can't possibly think they've got a spot anywhere else in the calendar where they can put it in.
So the FIA have made some changes to testing.
One is that there's a press conference in between sessions. So there's a morning session and an afternoon session, and there'll be press conferences. Now, they haven't had that before. And that's exciting because you get drivers going to and fro, you get a bit more sighting of them. And what was the other thing? The screens that we often see in front of the garages will not be allowed to be put up whilst the track is open.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be able to get shots of drivers getting into the car, of mechanics working around the car. Obviously, if they have a crash, they can then put the screens up because they're taking the car apart. But there was always this secret squirrel stuff where, hey, you can't look at our car. But if everyone's in the same boat, what does it really matter? So full marks to the FIA for that.
So while I'm in here and in front of the camera, the light-up tyre back here, can you tell us a bit about that?
I get so many questions about that. People say, I want one for my bar, or I want one for my house. Quite frankly, it's something that my son made, and as you can see here, it's not three-dimensional, it's one-dimensional, but he's just wrapped an LED around the outside that runs on a colour wheel, and it's a really simple thing, but I'm certainly glad that you've noticed it.
Now, what race are you most excited for this year?
Look, probably the Dutch Grand Prix. I think all that I've read about it, and all of the people that are contacting me are so pumped about the Netherlands having this Grand Prix back at Zandvoort, and I've seen the updates on the track, and they've got that big bank section. And for spectators who've been lucky enough to get a ticket, and only 1 in 10 who applied in the ballot got a ticket, I think Max Verstappen is going to be such in demand that weekend. And I'm really excited because there's not too many races. There's no in China, it's not like any driver's huge. In Australia, obviously, you've got Daniel Ricciardo, and he's huge, but I think the Holland race is going to take it to the next level. While I'm there, I'm doing one of my dinners, and I've only got 6 seats left, and I'd love to see you along there. It's at a beautiful private dining room. It's on the Saturday night of the GP. Be one of the next 6 to get in, and come and have dinner, and let's talk F1, talk paddock stories, the whole lot. It's a great night out.
Before we wrap up, do the drivers have their partners with them at testing?
Yeah, some do. I'm trying to think. Last year, I can't remember individually which ones, but this year I'm quite excited to see Charles's new girlfriend, Charlotte Sign, and also Valtteri's new girlfriend. Both of those split up with their partners during last season, and if you're on my YouTube page, you probably know that I did that WAGS video, which very quickly dated. Within a few weeks, Charles and Giada broke up, and then later in the season, a complete surprise, Valtteri and his wife parted company. So now both of those have new partners, and it's always nice to get those photos of those young women in the paddock with their driver boyfriends.
Thank you very much, Kim. We're excited to see what you've got coming back from testing.
As I am.
Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube.
And I do appreciate your comments.
Own any of Kim's images, especially from testing, from prostarpics.com.
And my blogs and podcasts, you'll find them at kimillman.com.
If you want to view pics live from testing, at Kim Illman's the place to go.
Thanks for watching. Stay passionate.